Hello and welcome to Tuesday. We're calling this Total Warlord.
We are indeed. It means
for now, at least.
means we don't have to make a ham-fisted reference to our favourite series of games once every other episode.
Yes. So as you move to the Tuesday slot now, this is now our permanent home. Today we thought we'd do something a little bit different. We do a lot of just talky streams, and today is one of them. And we are talking while painting. That's a big part of the hobby. We thought we'd do some of that. Today I am working on the Polish Vistula Legion. Kind of in frame though.
I have a slack handful of zombies for Warlords of Erewhon. These are my zombie Aztecs that nearly fought Max to a defeat and instead went to a draw because Max was a sporting human. These ones got contrasted up from the Evil Empire, basically just to get them in a condition where they looked okay on camera. And I thought, why not? Let's get out there and actually put some colour on them that isn't various shades of grunge.
Yeah, so I think a little bit of discussion about how we're painting, what steps are being taken are going to be a good play for this.
Yes.
Yeah, just generally a bit of a casual chat. Obviously, if the audience has any questions, we'll be more than happy to answer those. We've got some new releases coming up that we might be able to talk about, including something that came into the warehouse today. That's brand new.
Oh, yes. Very exciting, that one.
Yeah. And obviously, in the chat, let us know what you're working at. We've got a couple saved away of things that people have painted and sent into info@warlordgames.com. So, yeah, hopefully we hear some of you guys are working on something yourselves and enjoying that hobby goodness.
Yeah, absolutely. To be honest, it's nice to actually sit down and paint some stuff. Again, as opposed to, kind of being that breakneck, right, what are we doing this week? What game are we playing? What do I need to learn how to lose at?
Mm-hmm.
So that I can boost someone else's ego in their first time at a new game. But Max has definitely gone for the harder of the two options here in terms of things to paint. I've got pretty much complete freedom of choice with these. Max is working on a fairly strict set of regulations, I imagine.
Yeah, pretty much, basically all the same. You get a bit variance in the trousers, and that's about it for these guys. Past that, outside different units, it's all the same. So on my first 24, I'm only doing 24 for these, nothing too fancy. So the only conversions I've done, and I've not got those models with me because they're metals, is the front rank on the Grenadiers and the Voltigeurs. They're using the metal Voltigeur models, so I've placed them with the Polish hats.
Nice. And
so they look the part. There's different hats for each flank company as well, so it's not just the weird... Oh, the different Polish ones. There's a couple variants there. And then today I'm just painting up the bulk of the Fusiliers, get them all base coated is the plan, which, yeah. So I've not had much time to work on these lately. I've been working on everything else, really. I've not had a chance to just sit down. But this is one of those armies that's been slow burning. Whenever I've got 5 minutes, just paint a unit of Napoleonics and just get them moving. So it's good to see in the chat some... Everyone's saying hello. We've got Muppet Jedi tidying up. Yeah, it's a step in the right direction, even though not completely there, perhaps. We got Haggard just finished a hospital ship for Cruel Seas. That's really cool. Something a bit different. Geeks Tavern working on some Gaul Horsemen for SPQR. Love the freedom in regards to cloth colours, etc. Yeah, stuff like that is interesting because you've got patterns involved as well. So instead of flat colours being everywhere, if you wanted to try something like a plaid, that's one of the ranges that you can really do that with.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of the things that I find really fun with historicals, or other what you call ancients, as opposed to kind of Napoleonics or Second World War, is you do really have that kind of opportunity to go in there and make the force your own, as opposed to having something that looks right, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
German camo green.
And we got Amish there with a Katusha. Very nice. I'm a big fan of the Katusha. Not painted mine. Never got round to it. How'd you find the assembly on that one? Because I built it and I got it done. It wasn't the worst kit I've built, but
it's got a bit of a wreck.
Yeah, it was a little bit advanced. For me, it wasn't the metals. I know some people have complained in the past that the metals don't go together as well as they'd hope. For me, it was the resin parts. The resin rack that the rockets fire off was a lot of tidying up to get that one ready.
Oh, yeah.
I've built 2 of them now, just not painted either. But yeah, there's some effort in those.
Well, I kind of think, given how good multi-launchers are, you should have to work for them a little bit.
Why don't you?
Because I play Germans and we get the Howling Cow for stupidly cheap, and it's really easy to put together. So it is very much one rule for us and one rule for everyone else.
Yes. British Army as well with Stig there.
Yes.
Something a bit different.
It's going to be really interesting. I've been having a really good conversation with Stig.
Was this the one with the SAS?
Yes, that is the one with the SAS, and I think that's going to end up being a really cool force to see on the tabletop when it comes together.
Okay.
I am really looking forward to it. I'm getting a little bit of the bug from it. I need to do something with the new Brits at some point.
Okay.
It's just a really nice kind of... Nothing heavy on the conversion front, but lots and lots and lots of kit bashing, which really, nice showing off just how compatible most of our ranges are for bolt action.
Yeah,
and just how much you can do with the basic plastics. I mean, I think if I was going to do it myself, I'd kind of challenge myself to have no metals in there, and just see can I do everything with plastics. But some of the metals are great as well, things like the Commandos and the Airborne, and of course the SAS section itself. With the very angry Scotsman.
I'm not a huge fan of plastic leaders. You can always tell a plastic model and a metal model apart quite obviously, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And for me, it doesn't feel right to have plastic leaders. I know some people disagree with
that. That is a very old school take on alert.
You can tell, like, they look more built up. Usually they're a bit thicker, a bit heavier, more appropriate for a leader, in my opinion.
More gravitas.
Yeah. I just see Haggard in there salivating all the boxes behind you. Yeah, so we're streaming from the store today. The store is open to the public at last. Has been for a couple weeks now. And yeah, so we thought we'd show it off. It's already got the painting desks ready. So if you look down at mine, you've got the models set up, you've got the paints, which is all very nice. I'm not going to leave it there for too long though. But yeah, so you get a... the store is looking nice. It's nice to see it open again. Obviously, the first week or two back, it was a bit of a mad scramble to get all the stock back together. But now it's all hooked up. It's all looking very nice. So we've got Mike saying working on the Cruel Seas and Victory at Sea. Very nice. Obviously, with the naval theme this month, I think it was always the funny thing when we do the themes and whatnot, because at the moment we got all the sales on, so I think we're not actually going to see necessarily that much of a spike in people painting it this month. Next month, however, I think we're going to see quite a significant uptake in how many people are doing Cruel Seas and Black Seas ships.
Definitely worth keeping an eye on the dry dock for that one, because I think there's going to be some really good stuff coming out of that.
Oh yeah,
because there are some scarily talented painters in there who take what I can only describe as a perverse joy in painting tiny little things better than I can paint great big things. And I look at them and go, how have you done that?
Yeah, because obviously we've got the new Cruel Seas releases that have just come out as well. I think the Drax the most exciting one.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, I think I did the decals for that one. The boss just comes in one day and like, wants to do a decal. So...
I remember it well.
Yes, and I got that sorted, made it look nice, didn't make a pig's ear of it, which is nice.
It's always a sweat when the boss asks you to do something for him. And the worst one I've ever had was very simple. I was like, can you nip out to the car quickly and grab me some models that I forgot? I'm in a meeting right now, I just need to get these models to show on stream. And I go out to John's car and there's a rather lovely series of his Indo-Pakistani war stuff. And it's all kind of in, just in boxes. I've never felt so nervous picking up a box that doesn't weigh very much and taking it 10 yards. That's kind of one of those where, if I drop this, I'm just going to write my own P45. I'll see myself out.
Yeah, someone mentioned P45s in the office earlier. I couldn't remember what gun it was in World War II. I was a bit confused. That says a lot about where my mind generally sits of a day.
Yes.
Yeah, we got CSR working on the forces from Cara 9 for Beyond the Gates, which is very good to hear. I see you saying there that it's for a game this weekend. Considering that's Cara 9, does that mean this is your introduction to Gates of Antares? Because obviously that is a starter set, but I know a lot of people could very easily use that as a booster set, because there's a lot of stuff and a lot of bang for your buck with that.
The Antares set's a massively underrated value, I think.
Yeah.
In terms of what you get.
Yeah.
You know, the other ranges are decent value, but the Yantari stuff's just a little bit bonkers.
Probably. I don't know. There we go. Amish responding with the Katusha comments. It's been a mixed bag so far. The metal cab was a bit of a mess. I feel that one. I actually was originally going to do it with a see-through windows and internal cab, and in the end I just glued it shut. I was like, I can't be bothered with that. That's a little bit too much for me because only so many hours in the day. And yeah, I can see that one. The rack, I think the big thing for me is there was a lot of flashing between the individual ports, which was a nightmare to pin through every single one. You actually had to go through with the drill, find the right drill bit, and just get it done, which was a pain in the butt. And hey, Conradson, yes, you will miss us yesterday. We are no longer doing the Mondays. There's a lot of work being put in on other streams at the moment, so we will look into possibly other stuff on a Monday, but for now it is still just us and just Tuesdays.
Yes, but plenty of really interesting things coming actually on the channel. We had a really good meeting the other day, just kind of chatting about the future of Warlord Twitch and the channel and what we're going to do and, you know, what other people want to do.
Yeah.
And I think it's really exciting. There's plenty more content coming. I don't think we're quite going to manage, you know, 7 days a week, every single month, Warlord, wall-to-wall Warlord. But definitely some more stuff on the way, and kind of, again, as Max said, a little bit more focused in some cases. And we shall see where we slot into that and exactly what we end up doing.
Yeah, it's still on the Katusha. I think that would look really good with some of the rocket firing. I've seen it done before. I think you just have to be super careful on the cut and shut, because there is obviously the risk that bits get broken and that stays done. But if you could pull that off, that would look awesome. What I'd possibly also do would be a little bit of the smoke and fire effects you get with the vehicle kits, just to show that it has recently been fired. I think that would really bring it to life an extra step, so definitely stuff to think about there.
You can get that really nice backblast effect with all the black smoke and just a little bit of flame, yeah.
We got Skoback, both members of the Brush Licker gang. Why, yes, I am a painter. As far as I'm concerned, that's mandatory.
Wait, people don't lick their brushes?
Apparently.
That's bad. I accidentally made this guy a Brazilian, I think. He's either a Brazilian or a Norwich City fan. I was kind of going for, you know, let's get some nice contrast colours in. You know, what goes well together? Green and yellow. So, yeah, he's going to be in the remnants of his Norwich shirt, celebrating promotion by being dead and eating people.
When you build, you have to file between the rockets. Yeah. When you build yours, did you have to file between the rockets bits to get the face down like crazy? I remember there was a little bit of that. It was last August that I actually built that one. So I can't remember the specific. I remember there was some, but I don't think it was too bad on that front. But yeah, some fighting to get it. Obviously, with metal kits and resin kits, there's always a tiny bit of variance when you combine them both. Sometimes the fittings can be a little bit of a fight, but I didn't find it too bad.
So I think the hardest kit I've ever made wasn't even necessarily a hard kit. It all went together really nicely. But it was our old resin and metal Avery, Churchill Avery, and it didn't have any instructions with it.
I believe it's still on sale.
I think it is still on sale. Obviously, you can do it out of the plastic kit as well.
Yeah.
And didn't have any instructions. Couldn't get hands on the instructions, and ended up having to kind of eyeball it. And it took 3 of us sat there arguing about what a specific bit was meant to be on the real tank. But that was actually a really fun kit to put together. It just took time.
Yeah.
It's one of those where it's quite daunting initially when you open the bag and you look at it and go, God, how am I going to do all of this? And then once you kind of get cracking on it, it's okay.
Yeah, so Mike Gussie's just said, when's the new Cruel Sea stuff out? As it says on the webpage, normally with pre-orders we always have the release date underneath the product listing. That one is out in July. I've just had a look for you.
Yes. And I like the idea of these new theme months as well, because it kind of means you know a little bit more what you're getting.
Yeah.
At the start, you see, oh, it's a naval theme at the start of the month, then you can kind of hazard a guess as to what it's going to be. in terms of that month, whereas kind of sometimes it can be a little bit, ooh, what are we getting?
Mm.
And it means you can budget accordingly. I know that if we're getting, say, more plastic winter German infantry and slightly different coats, I know that I need to set aside many, many, many hundreds of my pounds so that I can get thousands of them.
Peppingford there saying we should paint Churchill tanks. If you want to buy me one, I'm sure at some point I can get one in Lend-Lease for my Russians.
That's right, Peppingford needs to play Blood Red Skies. I think that'd suit him perfectly, given that he's a massive air power nerd.
No, it's probably the first Warlord stuff I've painted for a couple weeks at this point. It's been a lot of terrain lately that I've been working on.
Yeah, you've had an insane terrain project lately.
Yeah, it's happening. I don't think insane's the word, but
If Max builds any more buildings, he will officially need planning permission.
Yeah, right. But no, it's been fun. It's nice to actually see it taking shape now. I think I'm up to about 20 MDF buildings finished. So yeah, onwards and upwards. I'm not stopping until I get to about 30, I think. And then back on with the models because I got a bunch through the other day, which were all nice. But yeah, it's nice to just get back to this. This is the kind of project that I ended up dropping right in the middle just because something else came up. So now we're working on these guys again. It's been a while since I've done any Napoleonics outside of these. But they are definitely the kind of stop and start army. I don't think the last time I painted them was the time I was on modelling for Advantage a couple of weeks ago.
Right.
I was working on them then. But that was the other end of the procedure. So these guys, the four I'm painting at the moment, they are mostly just undercoat. Yeah, now it's starting to move on. So I've got half of them that are at least base coated that are on their way. But like I say, the whole unit's quite far away from finished. But so normally what I do is I paint in batches of, with these guys at least batches of 4. But I didn't know where I'd get to with this on the stream. And because it's on the stream, I didn't want to run out. So I thought, we'll bring both batches, we'll bring them up to speed with each other, and then we'll go from there. Because even though they're rank and file, it's not like I'm speed painting these compared to most people's interpretation of what a speed paint is. Yeah, looking pretty good. You're going to get so many interesting armies, units in an army, so.
The last time I painted Napoleonics, actually, Napoleonics was the first thing I did for the company. I had some Prussians way back when I joined the company. And they were fun, but I also kind of sat down after I did them and said, I'm not going to do any more Napoleonics for another couple of years. I enjoyed them. It's just a very different challenge to bolt action, for example. There's an interesting one from Haggard. Why do you think Napoleonics absolutely hammers other pre-industrial periods for wargaming? Like, why is it the uber popular? I've got a couple of theories, but I'd be interested to hear what you think.
I think publicity more so than anything else. It's one that everyone's heard of. At least everyone who's like into the
into history.
Yeah, into war history specifically. Waterloo was such a iconic battle. There's been movies, there's been TV shows, there's been music written about it since it happened 200 years ago, and it's fresh enough to still be kind of relatable, I suppose. Obviously, Napoleon was one of the great generals of the time, and he was quite a good self-publicist. He really did make people think that he was, the be-all and end-all when it came to generals. History's kind of argued forever since about that, but I think there's a good argument to be made. So when you see a guy who is so able to put the focus on himself, he becomes a figurehead. And then whenever you get someone who actually defeats him, you end up with, again, another icon in your Bluchers, in your Wellington.
Yeah.
And suddenly there's something a bit more iconic there. And the other thing is it took about 20 years.
Yeah.
So it's a nice, easy one to get your head around. And I suppose as well, it's got a nice, clear storyline and villain. France was having a bit of a issue. And it kind of exploded
Yeah.
And it was always France versus everyone else. You got a nice clear bad guy or good guy, depending on where you're sat. And it's clear, you look at some of the other wars and they get a little bit messy, where you don't know
A little bit grey.
who's who, yeah. And it's, forces will pop up, go away, come back in a different form, come back with a different king, come back under a different alliance. Meanwhile, it was loads of different coalitions, but it was always against Napoleon.
Mm. And Stumpy as well raises the point that I was going to raise, which is from a painting and modelling standpoint, the uniforms are so much more vibrant,
Yeah,
almost than any other period in history at that point.
Mhm.
You can make an argument for kind of the Middle Ages, you've got your banners and your individual colours, but with that, when it comes to having to do so much attention to detail and getting it right, Napoleonics is really where it's at for sticklers, I think, for history in their painting.
yeah.
Because, I am a big fan of getting things right, but I don't think I've ever sat down and gone, is that button quite the right shade of gold?
It's gold.
Yeah, it's gold, it's good enough, right?
Well, even for Napoleonics, I knew that. I'm not particularly bothered. But I've done some research on getting these guys' uniforms correct. Not that there's that much research out there for, yeah.
Because because we're using Orphaned Eagles?
Yeah.
I need to give that a read at some point, because it looks reasonably interesting.
It looks to be deceiving. It's an okay in reference book, but it's not. Yeah. It's pretty straightforward. If you just want the history, then that's what you're getting.
Yeah.
Alright, that's fine. Yeah, at some point the next thing for this, I think, will have to be the Ulan cavalry that the Polish brought with. And then I've got a fat stack of Perry's French as well to work on, which are going to be good. So I think this is basically the start of my second brigade. I keep getting tempted to repaint part of the army.
Yeah, which bits?
Shakos.
Oh, yeah.
I've done the Shakos a little bit ahistorically.
Mm-hmm.
I'm tempted to go back and fix them. Because I couldn't be bothered to do the units, because I'm not sure I like the 4-man companies.
Yeah, so you've got like 5 different colours of pom-poms per regiment.
Which, I get why they do it. But I don't know if I like it at the scale, but at the same time I don't know if I like doing all one colour, because that's not quite right either. So I don't know. A little bit of soul searching to do on there, perhaps. But we'll see, because it looks cool. It can look cool. But I have to pick which one to do. And I think my next couple squads are going to be large units as well, so I'm going to have to think about where's the split coming, how's it going, and all that kind of thing. So, like I say, we got options, and it'll be interesting no matter what. I don't think I'm going to bring in any extra units at this point as well. Part of me was tempted to do some Swiss or possibly some Dutch Guard.
Yeah.
But I think for now we're just going to stick with a core French army.
French and some Poles.
Yeah. I know, I might build up the Poles at some point to be their own brigade, but for now they're just going to be attached.
Yeah.
And of course that dates the army as well. Dates it quite significantly.
So that was the next thing I was going to ask, because I know yours always seemed to me to be reasonably later in the wars, but have you got an exact kind of campaign for them?
The East, basically. They mostly fought on the East. I can't go hugely into detail on this one because I don't know without having a book in front of me.
Yeah.
But I don't... Jury's out on whether they were at Waterloo, to be honest.
Yeah.
Jury's really out if the Vistula Legion was there, because I've heard some people emphatically say no, and some people emphatically saying yes. But that seems to be the whole thing with the Vistula Legion. I don't think there is like a single authority on it, because some people say they didn't use a banner. Some people say they did. Some people say they only used it at regimental strength. Some people said they used it at company. Oh, not company, like
battalion.
Yeah, and it's So I don't know whether or not it's accurate to have a flag in. Obviously, we don't pack one in. But, yes, I know there are some companies that sell them. There's some people that sell just the flags as well.
Yeah.
So, I don't know how I'm going to fall on that one. If I end up doing a whole unit, so like a whole battalion of just Vistula, then at least the company HQ is definitely having a banner.
So they weren't issued an eagle as a French unit. They had their own banner that they maybe used. That was them as a Polish unit.
They definitely have their own banner. I don't know the situation with the eagle.
That's reasonably interesting. Tookie Took, hello. So thank you for joining us. Just got here. They said, what are we both painting? So I have got some zombies for Mythic Americas, for my Aztecs, which are slowly becoming more colourful and almost in focus. Max has this lovely Poles, which we were just discussing.
Yeah, so Polish Fistula Legion for me, which are coming along. Let's see if I can get that vaguely in focus. It's going to work better. There we go. Kind of see it. There's a lot of stuff in the background to glare it against. Early days at the moment, nothing too blocked in. But if I can get these done this week, which is unlikely, busy week, then I'll be up to half this regiment done, which would be nice.
Because have you played a game of full-size Black Powder? Because obviously I know you played against Tobias in the epic scale American Civil War.
No, that was the first game of Black Powder I've ever played.
Wow.
Yeah, I've got all these Frenchies and nothing to do with them.
So hopefully, now that things are starting to open up again in the UK, we can go back to having the big mega games at the boss's house.
Oh, yes.
At which point, yeah, that's going to be really nice to see on the tabletop. I think that's one of the things I really like about the mega games at John's place, is sometimes you're just using one of his incredible collections, but sometimes you'll get, kind of a run what you brung kind of game.
Yeah.
And everyone brings down, a brigade or a couple of battalions or whatever, and it's really nice. Everyone's commanding their own troops.
Yeah.
It's kind of nice to see what you've done on the table stacking up against what other people have done.
Yeah, and I know there's a big contingent of French wargamers,
Oh,
or at least
yeah.
army French wargamers. I don't think we hire anyone who's French at this company.
Do we employ any Frenchmen? I don't know. I don't think so, no. I think you're right.
Okay, not someone who's in HQ. We have some people out in France.
Eric.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't think there's anyone in the HQ. But either way, there's a huge group of people who play French as their this Black Powder default army. So I'd probably end up commanding with Pete from casting and Colin from accounts, who've got, quite frankly, gargantuan French armies compared to mine, because mine is still a piddly 1 brigade, 3 infantry, 1 cavalry, and a gun kind of affair. But it'll keep growing, and I don't want to rush this army too much, because I rushed my first squad a little bit back when I was first getting into historicals, and it does show, in my opinion, on the tabletop. They're not at the same standards.
So Colin's armies are absolutely ridiculous.
Again, not one I've ever seen on the tabletop either.
No, so Pete's army, Aussie Pete's army from casting, I have never seen his whole army in person.
Yeah.
But I've seen his whole army when when we were at the old site, and he'd just be bringing in, it seemed like a regiment every day.
Yeah.
Oh, you've knocked these up last night, what do you think? Like, what? Questions for you there?
So yeah, we can just go from the top there. Are you in the Warlord store? Yes.
Yes, we are.
Hence all the stuff. This isn't mine.
It's just how Max lives.
Yeah. So Haggard there, multi-basing or single basing for you guys. Multi-basing, 4 per. What I do is, this is cut up piece of cereal box, just so I can mix and match them. So the idea is, one batch might have all beige trousers, one might have all white, and the next batch might have like some greys or some browns. So then when you pull them all off the cereal boxes to base them on the 40mm by 40mm bases, you end up with a little bit of a spread. I mean, you can do the same things with like back rolls, and all that kind of thing. So you end up with a bit more variation. So that's something that I've done basically since the start, because I hate painting them when they're already on the multi-base, and they're too small to comfortably hold by the peg base they're supplied with, so I've never even bothered with that, because I'd get arthritis and carpal tunnel even worse than I already have.
It's one of the big things that's always used to put me off with, historicals where you are multi-basing, is sitting there going, God, I've got to paint, it's the simple idea, just put them on individuals first.
Yeah.
When you're younger and you're looking at it, like, I really want to do that, but how the hell do you get the brush in there?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure my first ever historical army, which was Celt, I'm pretty sure I did those individually as well. But that was before I was using that, and that hurt after a while. I was only 15 at the time, so I was still very fresh to well, that was my first ever foray into historicals. But and yeah, at the rate going to have a regiment done by a week, at the rate you go to, you're doing 1 figure equals 1 man. No, 24 people for a default unit for me. Large unit's 36, which seems pretty standard for the Black Powder community, at least the Black Powder game.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how we sell it as well, I think. So that's what I'm going for. I'm a pretty big stickler for getting the units vaguely right as well. So I'm not above getting extra models in to be extra grenadiers and stuff. So you've got the right epaulets and stuff. So you got to get you got to be a bit creative there, which is why I got the metal voltigeurs, because they just have the epaulets and you just cut the heads off. No, they're separate head system actually. You just change the heads for the Polish Vistula Legion ones, and that's how I got them.
But the voltigeurs separate heads, they're such cool models as well.
So the only ones I got left are the greatcoat ones, so I just cycle them into my next greatcoat unit. But yeah, because my Vistula Legion don't have any greatcoats. Unless, if I do a whole brigade, I'm just going to...
One unit in greatcoats.
Yeah, which I think would look cool.
That would look really good, because that's just a head swap with the late French line, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I've seen someone do that. I think it was the author of... not Eagles in the Snow. Clash of Eagles. There we go.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was his collection, because I've seen those in that book, and it looked perfect in my opinion. So I'm going to steal that if I do more Polish. And I think that's how it's heading. And I have to figure out what kind of guns I give them. Because I really like our Imperial Guard, but their uniforms would be completely wrong, I think, and I don't know if they'd have their own horse regiment, which leaves me only one option.
Is that 12 pounders or?
6-pounder infantry, at least from Warlord, because yeah, we do a huge collection of Imperial Guard. We've got quite a lot of French horse artillery, but I think we only do 1 foot artillery set of models, and that's only for a 6-pounder, which is a shame because I like them.
I mean, of course, the other alternative is you could always get those onto some other guns as well. Imagine they'd work reasonably well for anything that isn't too giant.
Not gonna lie, I might end up looking at Perry's for that. But...
Perry's range is just insane. But
yeah, that's coming for the future because I know they have quite a big collection of guns for that. What colour's that? Barbarian Flesh. Perfect. I've run out of this one recently, and we don't have any in the warehouse because I checked.
If I ever have to paint another model entirely Barbarian Flesh again after those naked Britons.
Hey, pick more interesting products, dude. You dug your own grave on that one.
No. They were interesting. Very naked.
Can we have a store tour? Yeah, when we're done, we'll unplug it and we'll go for a quick bimble. There's not a huge amount to see, at least via this camera. I think a lot of the excitement's going to come from actually getting up, checking out the display cabinets and stuff like that, and seeing them in focus. And then the staff projects that are in the display cabinet as well. And obviously, seeing all the stuff live and not having to wait for it to be posted is probably a big part of the appeal, which you don't normally get. But yeah, we'll do a quick walk around at the end, I think. That'd be good.
Yeah.
And ooh, I don't know how I feel about that with a wall on the bases. Feels like a cop-out, but that's just me. I'm picky.
I don't know, I could see it for some units. Like, not like a whole unit all hiding behind one wall, but, you know, maybe for your skirmishers or something. I could see that working quite nicely, especially if you kind of come into the end of a project.
I tell you what, I'm not doing beige trousers on any of these. I do like this unit just with white trousers, to be honest.
Was that what they should have been issued with?
I think basically everyone should have, but you know how history is. Like, it didn't often happen. How it was drawn up.
Yeah, what you get issued with is a theoretical, not a practical.
Yes. And yeah, no, I don't think it's a million miles different from a workshop store. I think there's only so many layouts you can come up with for a
hobby store's a hobby store.
Yeah.
Got some toy soldiers in one corner, toy soldiers in another corner.
Yeah.
Member of staff in the back.
Display cabs as well. Right next to me, we've got the discount bin for anything that got damaged on the boxes. So if you ever do find yourself here, check that out. You might find a bargain. Yeah.
That's the best thing about going to a hobby store is letting, you know, I go in and I go, oh, I'm going in for one thing. I know exactly what I need. I'm not being convinced otherwise. But I know deep down that I'm going to get convinced to buy something else, and I quite enjoy that. You know, I enjoy the craft and getting the enthusiasm built up by whoever's doing the staffing.
Okay. No, I don't really do that. I'm pretty objective focused whenever I walk in. I always know exactly what I want. And I usually get it. Because I've kind of got a lot of things. You know, people are trying to upsell me and I'm like, got it.
Did 3
got
of those.
it, don't need it. But then again, that is what you get for being a serial collector like me.
There's that.
Yeah, no, it's weird to not use my airbrush as well. I'm using a lot of that lately on like the scenery.
Yeah.
So I got a new actual airbrush itself, so it's the same compressor, but new airbrush came in, which was a bit of a game changer for me.
Gives the trigger finger a rest at least.
Hmm?
Doing it by hand gives your trigger finger a rest at least.
Yeah, true. Not particularly difficult, but...
Actually, a much nicer red than I thought it was going to be. Sweet.
Which one's that?
I was looking for I wanted to get a blood colour.
Oh, yeah.
My Evil Empire blood effect paint is at home. So just some red and some brown.
Fair enough.
For the base layer on it, at least.
I think I'll do the black next. I've got some dry brushing that goes along with that, so I want to get that early before I start putting on the detailed bits.
Yeah.
If I overpaint that, I'll be really annoyed at myself.
How many steps do you have to undo to get it back?
Well, usually one. It's just layers. I'd rather not have to paint. And that's good. That's one of the things I like about this stream. I hear a lot of people say that they like to paint with them. So I think, especially now that we're actually painting ourselves tonight, I think hopefully that should catch a couple people.
It is, yeah, it is nice to have that feeling of kind of there is a whole little community of you lovely lot using our mad ramblings for some sort of inspiration.
Yeah, because obviously back before the Rona, I used to paint in the store quite often, as did you. And game, of course. So, yeah, it's kind of a little bit of a holiday to go back to pretending it's normal again.
It's nice to be back in here when it's not sort of 3 o'clock in the morning, the night before a tournament. But it's a really nice new store. This is the first time I've sat in here for any length of time compared to the store at the old place. And just really lovely job the guys have done with it. Because I think it was a little bit difficult to make this one feel as spacious, even though this is a bigger footprint. The ceilings in the old store were massively high. So the old place felt really roomy when it wasn't necessarily.
Yeah.
And this place, obviously, you've got to be careful with quite a low ceiling to make it feel spacious, and I think they've done a really good job. So we've got, 1, 2, 3 big tables out at the moment in the middle. So that's 3 gaming tables for when we're allowed to get people back in and gaming. And that's I think it's going to be nice to see people back in, to be honest.
Yeah. I've seen a couple people, but I think I've not done any lunch covers or anything yet.
Seen a few familiar faces who have dropped in. Some of the regulars from the old site.
Seen 1 or 2, but not many. Like I said, I'm not really engaged with it too much. Normally if I'm in here, it's flying visits as I go through to another department to find something to cause trouble with. Or to untrouble with. That happens occasionally.
And we do occasionally sort out more problems than we cause.
Someone's got to.
And sometimes there's literally no one else, so it's us.
Uh-oh.
Let's go back exactly. Having a painting stream, you've got some conversation there. And, it stops you being sat there on your own muttering to yourself while you paint, which I never think is particularly healthy.
Yeah, and I think possibly this is something that we might look at doing a bit more of in general.
Yeah, if people think this is a good thing, I mean, there's been some nice chat in there.
Yeah, and I don't think it would necessarily be just this as well. Like I say, going forward, I think a dedicated painting stream is something we're looking at. Probably not similar to Jurgen's, probably more of a couple people in like a round table, and then chat on top of that, which I think would be pretty good. Possibly even, this is me spitballing, this isn't like an idea.
Yeah.
I just had the thought. I'm thinking kind of picturing like a special lobby, like, buy in, get to zoom in, with people.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's dangerously technologically fancy.
Yeah, possibly. I don't know. Maybe when we get a bit bigger. But paint with the stars.
For £20 whole, you can steal Max's recipes.
Sure, it's not like I put some of them up online for free. So what month was that? That would have been March I put that one up. That was a interesting one to write.
Which one was that one?
Soviet Airborne Painting Guide.
Oh, yeah.
That did quite well, actually. A lot of hits, if I remember correctly, on that one.
The Soviet Airborne do look very nice.
Thank you. You're over in the cabinet at the moment.
Ooh.
Yeah, I can see the NKVD from where I'm sat, but I don't know.
The NKVD can see you.
Yeah, I can see some of the airborne from there.
just need to get my Germans in the cabinet. They've been upstairs for 6 weeks now. They're literally just sat in my thing in case Dave said, yeah, get them in the cabinet. And they've just kind of not been here. That's the other good thing. I'm normally in the office kind of once a week at the moment, doing a lot of working from home. So as everything's opening up, it's nice to come back in and see everyone's lovely faces around the store. Yeah, there we go. A little bit of block colours in on the dude. Obviously pretty crude at the moment, but yeah, he's kind of got his what I can only describe as a Norwich City bikini. So him done. Move on to the next one. What have I done? Sort of done for now. You've got something that looks suitably horrible. Come on, do you in?
I'm running very low on black. See if they had any on the shelves.
Oh, I've got some here as well. If you need. Sorry, should have said
Wrong
black.
black. Yes, there is a difference. I swear by Vallejo's black. I don't like the coverage on a lot of the other ones.
I like Vallejo's black. If I've got it, I'll use it. If not, use whatever else black I've got. I'm not stunningly able to make it show a difference.
It is just coverage. Once you got the coverage sorted, you're alright. But Vallejo's black, fine. It's just got way better pigmentation in it, so you can actually just one layer it quite effectively, even when it's watered down.
I like Vallejo basically for everything, in fairness.
Yes, usually. Not trying much of their airbrush stuff yet. A little bit of it. Not the
Vallejo their range.
Well, yeah, obviously.
What are you using for it at the moment, mostly?
MIGs, bit of Vallejo, like I said. Very limited AK. And yeah. But it does the job, and a lot of what I use the airbrush for is obviously just your starting points for some things.
Yeah.
You know, you might do a whole hull, paint it up with the blocked in and the shading and whatnot. And then you go back in with the brush and the weathering techniques to bring it to life.
Yeah.
So a lot of the time you don't need a huge amount of paints on that one.
Yeah, just your basic base colours. I've used an airbrush a very little bit. I'll tell you, it's cheat mode for vehicles.
Yeah, there's still a lot of things you need to be aware of, but yeah, good bits of kit.
It made me, which is a poor to average painter, chuck out some tanks that look really quite nice, actually. Yeah, space magic. Absolute space magic. I will probably at some point look into getting one, but that's very low down on my list of priorities at the moment.
And they don't need to be too expensive. I just got a cheaper one off Amazon and then just replaced the brush after I got the hang of that one.
Yeah, you start on something basic and then...
You can ride the basic one forever, but if you want to get a bit fancier, there's lots of options for nice ones. I think I ended up with a Iwata replacement. I saw one as new second-hand go up on a sales page and jumped all over it. I
think you'd already basically agree, because I saw that same afternoon. I think you'd already basically finished the sale by the time I'd managed to tag the message you going, oh, by the way, I've seen this.
Yeah, I know, I saw it right when that's basically one that I was already considering. It's like about 30% off the usual price.
So, yoink.
Yeah, I think all I need to buy is some new ceiling rings on it. Because it's, some of its rubber rings are a bit dead. So there's plenty of places you can get replacements, so it's easy to fix. But
yeah, so there's maybe quite a big airbrush company locally that goes to a lot of events.
Almost certainly. What's an event?
Yeah.
Speaking of events, we've got Warlord Open Day coming up soon ish.
That's August, back end of August, isn't
Yeah,
it?
couldn't say the date. But keep an eye on the YouTube for that one, because I know there's a video at some point going up about it with more details with Dave from Store In.
We will certainly be there. Doing what? I don't know.
Yeah, no clue on that front, but we will be present. I'm thinking as well, we might stream part of it as well.
Oh, yes.
So expect to see some content on that front.
And obviously, if you are able to make it down, then come say hi.
Yeah, because we will be selling tickets there. Obviously, I will not reveal what it is because I don't know off the top of my head. But there will be lots of good stuff. It's sold tickets. I think it's just walk in.
Yeah, it will be a ticketed event.
Yeah. So, but I've seen some of the stuff they've been planning, and it's going to be a good event. And I know we've done them back basically every year. For a good while now, and 2020 is the first one there, so we want to come back and make it a big one. So
yeah, normally it's a lot of stuff like factory tours, you know.
Yeah.
It's kind of meet.
Well, the big thing is it's the first at the new site.
Yeah. Is Warlord going to be at Hammerhead? You know, I don't know. I'd have to check that one.
Hammerhead.
Because I know we've got flyers out for Hammerhead in the store, but I don't know.
Oh, have we?
I don't know whether that's promoting a show.
Well, almost certainly we're going then. Yeah.
That's how it should be. Very lovely flyers for Hammerhead, which the sun has decided to reflect off. Yeah, 31st of July.
Yeah, I'm sure we're going to this one. Newark.
Yeah, which is literally half an hour down the road from us. So,
I think we're doing UK Games Expo, which is coming up soonish as well, because I'm pretty sure I'm going to UK Games Expo. Yeah, I'd say we're an attraction, Mike, but I think that would be blowing my own horn a bit too hard.
Yeah,
but we will be there. We will be there to say hello. I've heard in past years it's been now relegated to the pub afterwards as well, so Warlord After Dark may occur.
Stranger things have happened. No, to be honest, it'd be nice to see a busy store again.
Because it won't be just the store as well, but the whole thing will open up.
Yeah, I mean, it's really nice to, you know, I think when we first did our first couple of streams here, we did a sort of a little tour, didn't we?
Probably.
You know,
been a while.
I think we just stood out on the landing and kind of waved the camera in the general direction of the warehouse.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Well, I think for a lot of people, you know, for us, it's kind of a big warehouse, like a giant warehouse full of thousands of toy soldiers really isn't anything new. I remember when I first joined the company, kind of walking around like, a lot of toy soldiers.
So Stumpy's got a Master G22 airbrush. To be honest, I don't know anything at all about Master. That's a new one on me. Used for mass prime, yeah, familiar with that one. That's what my old airbrush has been relegated to. But the nozzle is soft, so soft it snapped up in the airbrush. Wow, that's
sub-ideal.
Yeah, that's turning it into a dangerous weapon under UK restrictions, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, no, that's pretty broken. Considering I'm pretty sure a replacement would normally cost about £25 to start with, but oh well, at least it's a cheapo. Because mine was functioning free, as far as I'm concerned. That first one I paid for a compressor. And it came with a complimentary beginner's airbrush. You know, it was fine. It really isn't anything fancy. Technically, you could affect the airflow. Technically. But, yeah, it wasn't great. And now, now on to my fancy one. Honestly, for the buildings I've been painting lately, I'm still using a lot of the old airbrush. Yeah, because that's all you need for big sections of terrain.
Yeah, you don't really want to be
thinking. Which might work on tonight, actually.
More buildings.
Yes.
Yeah, it's one of those ones where you don't really need a massive amount of finesse, I imagine, if you're base coating and shading buildings.
Yeah, exactly. It's all 3-tone as well.
Get paint on as quickly as possible.
Yeah, because that's one of the ones where I'm using Vallejo. Because they're big grey ruins for Frostgrave.
Yeah.
What I do is I prime them Vallejo's black. Yeah, using the airbrush primer. Which it's easier, in my opinion, than using the spray cans.
Yeah.
Just because sometimes it can be a pain to actually get everything outside, sort out the spray, shake them up, go.
Yeah.
Bear in mind, I live in a flat block. It's not like I'm too lazy to just walk into the garden. It is a bit of a travel to get down there. Meanwhile, as I am, I can just turn on the thing, put some gas in the airbrush, and get it done from the comfort of my own chair. But yeah, it's all part of the fun. We'll see. And cover it in snow. Cover up any mistakes in snow specifically. That's a big part of it.
Snow and mud render, it fixes everything.
Not mud render. No. Not for this project. No mud, only snow. Yeah, once I put this layer on of black on the next two guys, I'm going to jump ahead and do the first hobby corner for a while.
Oh yeah, that'll be good.
Not got a huge amount in, but we got, I think, 4 different people's submissions to show off this week.
Excellent. And good evening to Intelligent Mr. Toad, who's just joined us.
Ah, hello.
Hopefully your hobby is proceeding at its usual breakneck pace.
Yeah, make me look slow, you do. Then again, lately, I've kind of been. That's what you get for painting single models as opposed to groups. I've only just spotted they've got numbers on their shakers.
Neat.
I completely missed that on first batch. Whoops. Man's got soot buns on his face now. Bother.
I didn't realise you could actually end up getting tattooed by powder.
Oh yes.
Obviously, I knew that you can do a tattoo with black powder. But we were actually doing a little bit of living history this weekend down in Evesham. It was absolutely amazing to get back out there, even if the weather was a bit quiet and a bit rubbish.
Yeah.
But no, it was one of our guys is a very, very experienced gunner. And he was showing us a few of the black powder tattoos he's had from some incidents over the years.
Oh yes.
It's always good when a story starts with, well, the time I got shot in the head.
Half deafened.
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't mind giving the guns a try at some point, but I think we'll wait until a bit more cash on that front, I'm thinking, because that's...
Not a cheap hobby.
Yeah, it's a bit of a pastime going on there.
Even by reenactments, frankly,
Yeah.
insane standards, gunnery's not cheap.
To keep it cheap, you make your own kit, and I'm pretty sure there's laws that limit you making your own guns.
Yes. HMRC and the government and the police tend to take what might be considered a dim view, I think, of hobbyist firearms manufacturers.
Yeah. With, of course, special legal exceptions made for the potato cannons.
Yes.
There we go, camera on. It's the Fiddlebix, you're working with the darker colours as well. How have I done that? I wonder. Looks like it's over the white undercoat. Or off-white undercoat. What's potato cannon? Basically giant spud gun, yeah. You get PVC piping, you get a cap. You get kerosene or some sort of flammable.
Yeah.
Spray it down, put a potato down, touch fuse. And it launches potatoes a significant distance, yeah.
But yeah, it's a mortar with a potato coming out of the barrel.
Yeah.
Because
I don't think it's illegal.
I think it is illegal.
Is it illegal to potato cannon?
I think it's pretty illegal to potato cannon, actually.
Do not potato cannon, audience.
Yeah.
Unless you live in a country where it's legal to potato cannon, resist the urge to potato cannon.
Warlord Games' official stance, at least in terms of total Warlord, please do not potato cannon unless it's safe and legal to do so.
Yeah.
At which point, please potato cannon and invite us to potato cannon with you.
Yeah. Yeah. Probably messing around with explosives should be illegal, but oh well. It's all part of the fun.
If you don't blow yourself up from time to time, how will you learn?
Exactly. I mean, sure, listening to others' experience. No.
You clearly know better your first time of doing it after some cursory reading than people with a lifetime of experience.
Exactly. Trust me, I read a wiki page.
I've seen a few threads like that online.
Yeah, exactly. And they were always very iconic.
Oh, yes. Mustard gas and bathrooms.
Yeah, that's one of them.
Michael, do you guys know what the biggest potato cannons were? No, but I can't wait to hear what ship they were mounted on.
Maybe something like the Dardanelles guns were once used to...
To plant a field 20 miles
know,
away.
yeah. Punt gun, but it's hunting emu or something.
I mean, I am all for ballistic crop sowing. Ah, yes, HMS King George's 14-inch guns. And they fired potatoes at them. I'm not stunned. I would not be surprised. It's the Royal Navy. What is that? Just a tiny little signalling charge in there and a big bag of potatoes on top? Came out pre-jacketed as well, I think.
Sure. I don't know when they bought their jackets.
They probably banned under the Geneva Convention as psychological warfare. Very distressing if someone starts shooting potatoes at you.
No, I can think of worse things to be shot at.
Well, I can certainly think of worse things, but confusing? I fired them at Duke of York. It's a friendly rivalry, I suppose. There's a potato doing about 1,000,000 feet per second heading right for my face. What japes, lads!
I'd be stunned if they weren't mashed by the time they got airborne.
Yeah, I suspect it may have been more of a spray of...
Oh, there you go.
Spray of potato flour.
Okay, so first one for customer submissions this week, we have Jake with his lovely Zuikaku. So I believe he used words to the effect of, I went insane painting this. But yeah, I'm really impressed with the freehand work on the flight deck there. And that is all freehand, I asked.
That's insane.
You didn't find any decals. And I believe that's the same for the Akagi in the background there with the Japanese flag.
So crisp.
Yeah, looks really good. It's photo quality, so I thought, can I use that one? Yes. So I asked him, he said, yes, please do. And I think that one looks absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, that's some serious fruits of insanity there.
Yeah, so like I say, we've got a couple here. We've got Mark here. Mark here's working on some USMC, so the image file is huge. Just bear with me a moment, guys. Starting to come into focus. I believe he said he was at a show and found the flag, and he's kind of been looking for an excuse ever since.
I can see what it's becoming. It's a big old eagle globe and anchor.
A huge image file. Lord knows how much space this thing took up, but
that's why the laptop's running slow. The memory's gone.
Yeah, but you get a feel for that one. I think that one's really cool as well. Like, not the craziest conversion I've ever seen. I've seen a couple people put flags on. But I mean, yeah, it looks really cool. Ideas of Iwo Jima there as well, which is pretty cool. And yeah, a nice little conversion. And really looked the part, I think.
Yeah, it's imposing, if nothing else. That'd be a great objective or the ultimate flex. Have that guy as your officer's assistant. But my officer's in heavy cover. Is he? Is he really?
Yeah. And we got, Michael there saying great scenery as well. Yeah, it's a nice little whole package, I think. So yeah, really nice little collection. So this is the last of the single model. I think the next one is a set of terrain pieces. And we've got a couple of photos that we'll smash through there. So this is from Peter Bish, one of our regular callers. Obviously, I like my Africa core, so I saw this one and I'm stealing that one if it's okay with you. After he's shown me, because we were talking on the tickets. And basically, all the Africa core gunners by default, if I remember correctly, can only be built sitting, lying down.
Yeah, it's a prone kit for the gunner.
And she was like, let's see how we can fix that. And I really like that solution. He was asking me, do you think it's historical? And I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty sure I've seen photos like that. I mean, I don't want to consider how deaf the guy up front is going to be after this is done, but I think it's doable.
The Bundeswehr. There's some great pictures of the Bundeswehr in the 70s and 80s when they were still using the MG3, which is obviously just a modernised MG42.
Yeah.
Doing exactly the same thing.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I imagine it's effective. I just wouldn't want to be the guy
at
the front.
At least they had, in the 80s, they had decent ear protection.
Yes, not a Stahlhelm half covering your ear.
I can imagine, the only sound that you're going to hear is whop.
Yeah, and then I think the last one we got is from, I can't remember the name of this customer. I know their Instagram handle was Wargames Terrains Minis, because that's where I stole these images from. But I might have shown at least a work in progress of these in the past. There are the his Battle of the Bulge board.
Yeah.
So that's the first shot with the Shermans and the infantry. I just love how
mud.
Yeah, how messed up that board is.
But it doesn't even look like wet mud. It looks like frozen mud, exactly like it should do.
Yeah, and you get some other shots there, and he's gone to town with the water effects, trench lines. That looks like one of those boards that's going to actually end up being really fun to play on as well as looking the part, because it does look like, absolutely disgusting to fight on, which is what a lot of the battles of World War II were kind of like. So yeah. I think he's really brought that world to life with these.
Really good job with the water in the crater bottoms.
Yeah, so there's a bit more of a cleaner shot of that water there. And yeah, it looks like something that you could perfectly imagine, like, also being in World War One, for example. Like, it's muddy, it's horrible, it's deep, you fall in and you're just going to sink.
Yeah, you're not really coming out.
You need a buddy to get you out.
Yeah.
So yeah, big fan of that. Obviously, we're doing a painting stream. If, as always, there's anything you want shown off on the stream, info at Warlord Games, me or Marcus, or possibly Connor, or possibly Lorenzo.
You may be graced with the presence of the boss.
Yes, we'll find your tickets and pass them on to us, so that when we can see them and get them shown on a stream next time we're doing a bit of a quiet one. Because we're never going to show them on a game stream, I think, because with game streams you just got to power through it, so you get it done on time, because they can go on otherwise.
Just got to get out there and take my loss in as sporting a fashion as possible.
So Stig there saying, when it's painted, send results of a redeploying Maxim from the Vets of Siberia kit to do PTRD redeploying. Ah, nice. I tried to do the same thing with a DP28. I didn't like the conversion in the end, so I ended up breaking it down and redoing it. And I've still just got the metals redeploying somewhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that'd be really cool. He's very dynamic. I can see him being conversion fodder for many people. Right, what colour do I want to do next? So progress report, these were basically all white when I showed up. They are currently at this phase. So we got the skin on, got the blue, yellow, and boots. Which is actually basically almost where the first four I showed up with are.
They are looking,
I'm going to do dry brushing first.
They are looking uniform.
Yeah, dry brush. So my dry brush for the Sharkos, the boots, is pretty simple. It's just grey-green from the Vallejo range, and then dry brushed again but softer with the neutral grey from Vallejo. You get through quite a lot of it. I certainly do. But yeah, I think it looks the part, and it's not too long. Like, that's the big thing with your mass battle games. You just want to find a solution that gets it done quite quickly, in my opinion, or else you are just going to be there forever. Maybe for characters, go a bit more to town, because that's certainly what I do. And for anyone interested, the whole unit, the way I paint them is the tunics are dark Prussian blue, followed by normal Prussian blue, followed by, I think it's royal blue, but it's one of the light ones. It might actually be Viking blue from the Army Painter range. But I'd have to check. It's written down somewhere on my phone, I think, but I can't recall off the top of my head. Basically, 3 highlights of the blue on that. The yellow is the most complicated thing. That's actually a mix of fiery orange and what's the first layer? Gold yellow from Vallejo Game Colours. Just to get a nice flat base with a little bit of depth in it. Because I find if you do just the yellow, it doesn't cover very well, and it doesn't actually have it as much of a depth of colour at the end, which is, in my opinion, kind of what you want. So I tend to mix that. It's worth it to get the extra coverage. And then the boots are just black, and then the 2 dry brushes. And yeah, it's just stuff. I think the backpacks are all wood brown from Warlord Games range, as are the guns. And then yeah, you just kind of highlight up the metals, give it all a wash, and then a few more highlights. It's generally goes on pretty quick, to be honest.
Simple.
Easy. Time consuming, but easy. And the skin, I think, is Barbarian Flesh, followed by... This one's almost empty. I'm glad I bought another one of these the other day. Barbarian Flesh, followed by Flesh Wash, followed by highlight of Barbarian Flesh, followed by... Where's the bright one? Is No, it's basic Flesh Tone from Vallejo.
Oh, yeah. It's actually basically the same way I did my
Not basic Flesh.
Naked Brits. Caucasian?
No, because Caucasian don't already started with Marcus.
Oh, I thought you started with Barbarian.
Oh no, they're basically the same colour. I can't remember off the top of my head what it's called. But it is the brighter Vallejo one. Yeah, let's go back. I do that. I've got into the habit of actually having to write them down just so I don't forget every time. Because, yeah, the amount of times I've started a project thinking, I'm going to go do something else. And I come back and I'm like, well, how did I do that? Doesn't look the same. I can't replicate it. So now I pretty good for writing stuff down as I paint so that we can end up with something loosely resembling uniformity when we're done. Because otherwise that doesn't happen. And that's Stig. Yeah, no, I think kit bash is a big part of that. It's one of the big reasons I like the plastic kits for my core infantry. Completely avoids any duplicates that way, because you can just kit bash them so easily. It barely even requires thought, which is a good part of the fun.
Yeah.
Oh dear, yeah. That's that's the dog in trouble then, with knocking the PTRD on the floor.
Ooh.
And breaking it. And I think, yeah, always a silver lining. Could use that as a little bit of scenic storytelling as it's under someone else.
PTRDs are pretty massive. That would be a tank running over it.
Oh yeah.
Would you guys like to see Black Seas have any sort of time frame shift back to the 17th century or forward to pre-World War I vessels? So for me, I would actually much rather see Victory at Sea go back to pre-dreadnoughts and late late turret ironclads and things like that. I think Black Seas is actually pretty much perfect where it is. You know, I think that's really the Age of Sail is the game it was built for, and the game where the passion was from the designer. That interview we had from Gabriel, it was really kind of quite clear. You know, that was his baby, and that was the thing he loved. And I think sometimes when you start moving a game away from the thing that it was really designed to do, you can end up with a bit of expansion for expansion's sake, and it doesn't feel quite right. Black Seas, I think, is perfect where it is, but Victory at Sea, with the mechanics being as in-depth as they are at the core of it, I think that could quite easily go back and would be an absolute ton of fun, and I would be all over that.
I could see it go back to the Age of Galleons, to be honest, and still work and be a very engaging game, to be honest.
I think so. I mean, that's not a huge shift backwards. It's, you know, just slightly different ships. I think if it went to, like, Ironclads or something, you know, the Monitor and Merrimack and that, or Virginia, I think then you're losing it a little bit. Galleons would be great. Do some proper Spanish treasure hunty stuff. And yeah, exactly. Motorised large ships against anything in the Age of Sail. Exactly as happened at the Battle of Hampton Roads. You get 2 ships steaming around that nothing else can hurt, that can't really hurt each other, but can kill everything else in their immediate vicinity pretty much automatically.
Intelligent Mr. Toad asking about separate arms. So with new plastic kits, I think that's going to become the standard going forward. So watch this space to see which new plastic kits come out and which ones get replaced over time. I think is going to be the answer on that one because, yeah, I know the pain. And yet, weirdly, for kit bashing, I think the separate hands and stuff like that tend to be better for kit bashing because you've got the better range of movement. You don't have to cut and shut quite as often. You've got whole guns to actually convert with. But I think, yeah, for the sake of building an army, it's way easier to have them pre-attached. So I think that's likely going to become the standard moving forward.
I mean, it has been for all the most recent kits. So I think it's definitely horses for courses. I kind of quite like to have a mixture of both. Exactly what Max says.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if I want to give some guy a PPSH in my German army,
yeah,
then I need an open hand and I need a separate PPSH. So that's kind of where I go, and that was our boss. So you may have just seen in the background Lorenzo doing something very important but very mysterious.
I know he was originally planning on joining in on the stream, but obviously something's come up.
So the thing I find as well with having separate weapons from the arms is, as a couple of people have mentioned, sometimes getting it lined up can be a bit of a faff. I find it just takes a little bit of the joy out of it. It's not always a deal breaker, but it's just kind of you sit there and go, all right, cool, that's him done. How many more have I got to do? Okay, get the tweezers out. I like my convenience.
Yeah, I think as with part of it as well, it's making sure you got the right bits because there's definitely some that only work with certain parts, certain arms go together. That can be a faff, but like I say, you know how many Sovs I've built. It's at this point I don't really notice. Oops. Not that I've built them for ages, to be honest. Well, since I've worked on a plastic kit at all, actually.
Yeah, it actually is. And having seen what you paint in our hobby chat,
Yeah,
there's not been a lot of plastic in there.
A little bit here and there, but most of it's stuff that I assembled ages ago and I'm just getting around to painting. Genuinely ages since I built plastic kit. Can't remember off the top of my head what it would have been. Not a clue. Probably a tank, maybe?
Some flavour of T-34?
No. Long time ago. No, not a clue. But yeah, discussions of getting some games in soon as well, which is going to be fun.
Ooh, yes.
So I don't know what I'll be running. I've got options. Possibly see if I can get the Soviets out. It'll be a historical fight, but it'd be nice to get some of the new units I painted up recently on the table at last. Because the Airborne have never seen service. The NKVD have definitely never seen service either.
Naval Brigade? I don't remember.
No, they've come out a couple of times. Yeah, maybe just do a general elite force and see how that plays.
And all the toys army.
Yeah. All the toys at the expense of the tanks, perhaps.
Yeah,
that might work. All these tanks, I still find reasons to not take them. What's in their backpacks? Yes, fantastic. Yeah, they're coming along nicely now. Yeah, I was looking at some new platoon stuff as well today.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking about running some different selectors than the ones I've run in the past.
And it's for your Soviets in general, or just in general.
Just in general, I kind of got my own commando force at the moment.
Oh yeah.
One I've had my eyes on for ages. I was rereading parts of Canadian and British sectors, the book. And obviously they've got a load of stuff for the commando list. Yeah, things like taking 2 national characteristics as opposed to 1. So you get you get tough as old boots for free. And the exchange on that is you don't get naval observer, if I remember correctly.
Right.
So stuff like that would make it interesting, because then you can have like just really absolutely double down on a elite force, and just kind of scare your opponent away. I think at that point.
I've played Commandos a couple of times.
Yeah.
And you'll be surprised to know, got absolutely slapped around by them both times.
Yeah.
They're really scary in terms of all the outflanking stuff they do as well with behind enemy lines.
Yeah.
Because that is really nasty. You know, your opponent can just kind of sit there and go, I'm not really aggressing your objectives at all. Turn 5, I just won the game. There was nothing you could do about it.
Yeah.
Because my army was off the board.
Tremendously boring way to play.
Oh, yeah. Effective in a tournament setting, though.
Don't care. Tremendously boring way to play. But I like the models as well. Like particularly things that you see in the support group, the unit leaders, the MMG and stuff.
Oh yeah.
I think they are some of our best sculpts in the World War II range. Like the faces, like I don't know if it's the paint jobs of probably Andre. I don't know who painted them off the top of it. Most likely Andre. I don't know if it is just some of his best work or if there is actually something different with the faces. But the faces on the studio examples just look phenomenal. Like they just so much personality. So that's another reason I'm kind of looking at them and going, there's something there. And probably just paint it up for a Normandy setting as well. Because I've not got Northwest Europe as a force yet. And I know some people are also looking at some new German forces potentially in the office soon. So
yes,
that's going to be really good.
Connor continues his relentless march to have every German we've ever done ever.
I don't know about relentless. Occasionally endless.
There's not a lot of lent. You know, there's a below average level of lent.
Now, I'll give him some credit when I see some more painted on the tabletop. It is a call out, it is a challenge. Yeah, I got all the stuff to do the basing as well if I do Northwest Europe. It's basically what same as what I'm using for these Polish.
Oh
yeah. Which, pretty neutral. It is pretty standard default kind of stuff, but
some grass, some mud.
Yeah, I got all the nice scenics to bring it to life.
Yeah.
Bring up the leaf hole punch.
Oh yes.
So I think at this point we can open up the Amnesty 10 minutes, and then we will see you for the week. So that means for anyone new, any question at all, be it Warlord related or otherwise, we will at least endeavour to answer it.
Yeah, we will. Again, with the as with the spud cannon, if it's safe and legal to do so.
Yes.
It's really tempting. I've got 2 of these guys, the unit leaders,
Mm-hmm.
and they've got this huge kind of mane of hair. And I did this one green, just nice vibrant colour, and I can do some bits of yellow and red in there. I think the next guy, he's got to go Sonic the Hedgehog. He's got to go blue. Got to go fast.
Is there going to be an announcement of the supply drop contents before it ships from Skobac there? No, not as far as I'm aware. It's nothing we've got direct control of either. But as far as I'm aware, it's going to be same kind of premise as the mystery boxes. Just this time we've got a more direct theme.
Yeah.
But yeah, it will be a blind box effectively.
Obviously, I think there's some clues available in the listing anyway, as to what you might get. But yeah, that's the other thing to say. Everyone will get the same. It's not a mystery in terms of what everyone's individual box contents are. Everyone gets the same thing. And yeah, I think it's going to be the first one in a fair few of them that's going to be planned.
Yeah, I think that is the plan going forward, is do a supply box every month, I suppose. I'm not certain, but basically the idea is blind selection of items and, generally speaking, a pretty massive discount for it.
Mm.
Yeah, I think this one's... I think it's roughly £80 worth for £50 is the deal, which you'll struggle to beat normally.
Yeah. Would Warlord be interested in doing weekender events in a similar vein to Beast of War boot camps with a theatre box and an army?
Theatre book and an army.
Theatre book and army, yeah.
Yes, it was something we were looking at doing before. We were actually hoping to do a Stalingrad combat weekend. So God knows where we'd do it. Possibly at the old venue, but I don't know if prices would allow us to do those regularly at that venue.
Yeah.
But we definitely wanted to do a Stalingrad event. As you might well imagine, I was extremely excited for that one. I had my T-34, the factory T-34 army getting ready for that one, which unfortunately hasn't come out yet. But hopefully one day we might be able to run something with Stalingrad. But yeah, it's something that we've always wanted. And knowing that people are interested in Stalingrad, maybe I can talk store manager Dave and Conic, who'd probably be the guys who are organising it, into going, still interested in Stalingrad. It's kind of famous.
We do have a really lovely board for it as well.
Yeah, we got quite a lot of terrain for that one. So yeah, we'll see on that one. No guarantees, but it's something we've looked at in the past and we're hoping to do again in the future.
Perhaps not in the same way as everyone you buy in and your ticket price has an army. Starter army, and you work on it one day and play it the next day. I think that's not hugely what we do as Warlord.
Yeah.
But certainly it was something that was massively being discussed, was the idea of these campaign weekends.
Yeah.
And the really good thing about the theatre books is they lend themselves to that so well, because there's all the scenarios that never get played enough.
What do you think I could use resistance miniatures I've gotten for Terminator Genesis box for?
It's out. We're selling it.
I didn't hear what you said.
Stargrave.
Yeah, Stargrave might work. Basically anything sci-fi themed, or just conversion fodder as well. They're nice models. They're pretty well detailed, and I think they'd be pretty appropriate for just about anything with a sci-fi theme.
They're also a great source for modern weapons as well. Modern-ish weapons.
Yeah.
Which a lot of people are like, I wish I had for random one-off conversions.
Yeah.
I think the Spec Ops are the best ones for that, because there's just an absolute ton of insane stuff on them.
Well, they're long gone, those ones.
They are gone forever, I think. Mists of time have swallowed them whole. But cool sprues. It's a shame, they're kind of disappearing.
Yeah, speaking of Stargrave, I got my book the other week. Obviously, Warlord is selling that now. I know we got the Crew, Mercenaries and Troopers plastic box in from North Star today. They're on general sale yet, but they're coming. I'm pretty sure, considering we've seen them, I'm allowed to say that. I like my grave games at this point. We'll call that a genre. I'm a big fan of that, so I am super excited to get that started. What with the lockdown in the UK lifting, we've recently had some games of Frostgrave as well, which have been a lot of fun, getting the campaigns back up and running. You'll be pleased to know the first game was a bloodless game. Couple injuries, but nobody died, and the scenario was pretty generous on us, despite dropping a Wraith on my force, which caused absolute mayhem, because they can't be hurt by non-magical items, which is of course what you want on your first mission, when you have literally no magic items.
RNG's giveth, RNG's taketh away.
Pretty much. No, I've never played Rangers. However, it's one that is on my radar. I've got some of the models from it that I'm just using in Frostgrave, like the Shadow Knight. I've got that one because that's one of my favourite models ever, and I just use him as a Wraith or a armoured skeleton in Frosty. But Rangers is one that I'm actually considering going further with at some stage. But not yet. Not enough time in the day. And all my terrain is covered in frost, so we're kind of stuck now.
You play in the dark, then it's in shadows.
Yes. Yeah, these are coming along nicely. I think at this stage they're officially at the same level as the other group are, which means that's less things to finish when I get to the washing phase of these guys. So it's been a really effective way of kind of boosting the amount of stuff painted, I think.
And it's for your go-to number for mass armies.
Nope. 4 to a base.
Ah, so you get 1 base at a time. That makes total sense.
Yes. I don't really have a standard.
Mike, let's have a look. Just scrolling.
Oh, there we go. Does the guide cover decal placement for US airborne troops? Can't remember off the top of my head.
I don't think so. I think the US painting guide is USGIs, in the same way that the German painting guide is pretty much all here.
Yeah.
So I don't think it covers the placement.
Yeah. Easiest way to do that is what I actually did for my GIs. Look at historic photos. That's what I do for all my decals. Usually stuff like Google Images will give you enough to work from, in all honesty. But obviously you've got your off-sprays, you've got all kinds of books, really. But like I say, with stuff like that, I think the first port of call is Google Images.
The interwebs, simply because as well it's a recent conflict. There's a ton of extant jackets for it.
Yeah, that's true. And then we got
Screw back.
Are there multiple Canadian lists? And yes, there's tons. I think there's 7, including infantry, different eras, and armoured platoons. I think there's some like dedicated artillery platoons and stuff like that as well. So you got tons of options when it comes to Canadian armies. And then Mike, can you suggest something for US Airborne? Yes.
A plane.
Yeah. What do you mean? Like for an army? Lots of infantry, run them vet, give them enough support weapons to do their jobs without extra support, like bazookas and artillery. Yeah. That's how I'd run them.
For a theme, 82nd. Everyone does 101st, 82nd are way cooler.
I like both.
All American.
I like both.
Oh, that's the kind of research we like, Amish. Using YouTube to figure out the Katyusha's firing order to make sure the right rocket's on the right bit of the rail.
Nice.
That's excellent.
Yeah, because that was one of the ones that the Soviets were really keen on, so there's a ton of footage of what they looked like firing.
Oh, yeah.
I've seen most of it.
I've never heard, fairly obviously, multiple rocket launcher system firing. And I've always kind of wondered, you get the howl. It's a very, very distinct howl. I always wondered whether that's like an overdub, whether that's, a bad microphone in the field capturing, or whether they do actually just sound that horrible.
Yeah, not a clue, to be honest, but it's certainly an iconic and upsetting sound.
If anyone in the chat does happen to have a multiple rocket launching system, please do let me know, and I will come to your house and,
Yeah, so see, they're all uniform, so they're all going to look the same. That is... come across. That is final check for where my guys got to. Exactly where I wanted them. They are ready, almost. I've just got the grey to paint in a little bit of beige. And, and the gold on the hats.
Gotta have gold on your hats.
Yeah.
And then... Nope, that's not even going to slightly show.
The sun has just decided to show up the weather I didn't think was going to be allowing this, so I didn't actually think to even pull the blinds. But we're basically done for this week, so I'll talk to you all next week. Tuesday again. I think we've got we got Connor from the store on next week. Me and him are playing 1,000 points bolt action Desert War. I'll be taking my Africa Corps. He'll be showing up with his 8th Army. So please join us for that one. And Stay safe and see you then.
Yep. Catch you later, folks.